Challenges to start. To establish Operatel. What sort of challenges did you have to overcome? That must have been an interesting. There had to be some sort of roadblocks.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first of all, I didn't come from a family which had lots of money by any means. Like you said earlier, my dad was in the furnace business, and my mom was a stay-at-home mom. So, to start your own company requires capital, and we don't have any money. It's tricky, and so we bootstrapped that company. And a lot of people don't know that, but we literally. Every dollar that came in that door, you spent $2, and you just continually leveraging it and leverage it. And
it's bleeding to death financially.
Yeah, I lived. So when I moved back to Peterborough, I literally lived in the attic of Jay, my best friend. So he was married and lived in Peterborough, and I lived in his attic for like $300 a month in order to build that company. And we, you basically are super frugal. And then, like I said, every dollar you spend, you make sure you spend it wisely because, you can get investment money. And today I think it's a lot easier to get investment money. At that time, I had no idea how to do it. And so literally we just kept...
Another learning curve.
For sure. We just kept doubling down. And, if every time we made a dollar, we figured out how to wisely spend it. And like I said, Jay was really good at taking a dollar and spending it 3 times and just keep riding cash flow and really understanding that. So I would say the most important thing that I learned is really how to understand how to manage money and really how to make sure that you're not spending more than you make, because that's crucial. Because eventually, if you keep spending more than you make, you're eventually going to have to pay that back, and you have to pay it back with interest. And I think that's it's a skill, whether it's in life, your personal budget, or whether it's running a company. It doesn't make any difference.
Running a company, running a country,
absolutely, or running a country for sure.
Can I ask really quick with so if you bootstrapped with Operatel, do you wish that you had gotten some of the funding that was available today? Like, do you think it would have made a difference?
We would have grown faster, for sure. Yeah. So Operatel and Desire to Learn are basically 2 very similar companies. Desire to Learn, CEO was a year older than me. It started in 99. We started in 2001. And their growth curve and our growth curve were similar until they were part of the Waterloo Accelerator Computatech. So very much what we built here in Peterborough with the innovation cluster, we didn't have anything like that in Peterborough, and I saw them grow drastically. And they were probably the last sort of 5 years. So 2006, 2007, we saw a massive injection of money to go into them and massive growth as well. Ultimately, I'll still argue that I think our technology was better. Because again, we bootstrapped it, and there wasn't a decision made that the financial considerations wasn't there. But if you were to measure the company based on the amount of jobs created, the amount of revenue that was generated, Desire to Learn definitely superseded that. Now, ultimately, we got bought by OpenText, right in the back, which is in the backyard of Desire to Learn. So, and some of the members of OpenText were advisors on Desire to Learn. There was great connections between Desire to Learn and OpenText, but we were the one that ended up getting acquired. Partly because they'd taken so much money into their organization, so much capital that came in there, that it became a very expensive acquisition to buy, where we were less expensive because, quite frankly, we were bootstrapped the whole way. And so we didn't have massive amounts of debt. We basically had no debt, and we didn't have a whole bunch of shareholders that are expected a 10 times return on their money. Had us as shareholders as the principals of the company, but really that was it. So if I were to go back in time, I think I would very much like something like the Innovation Cluster to exist. Whether I took the money or not, I don't know. But what I like about the cluster is that I have this kind of conversation. And John Gillis, our incoming CEO, and also part of the organization, is the same situation as me. He comes from a similar background. And we have these exact conversations. When people come in our office and say, here's my business plan on a half a piece of paper, and I'm going to go raise $1 million. It's like, that's expensive money. And are you sure? Because if you can do it a different way, maybe you don't, obviously. And so it's a personal case, but you got to look at both sides. So I'm the first one. Again, we have a great angel network here, but I'm the first one to tell people that if you don't need the money, don't take it, because it's expensive.
Yes, it's okay to take the money, but it's got to be paid back.
It's got to be paid back. It's expensive. So, borrowing money's, there's nothing wrong with borrowing money, as long as you know how you're going to pay it back.
As long as you, yeah.
And, in high growth companies, it's one thing because your revenue is going to bell curve up. As we talk about government, it's a totally different. The only way that our revenue is government bell curves up is we all pay more taxes, which I don't think anybody wants to do. So I think making sure that you're balancing your budget is crucial. There are years and times when you can't. Just like when you're building a company, you've got to borrow money. But overall, if your strategy is to continue borrowing or continue looking for investors, ultimately you won't be successful because eventually you got to pay it back. And if you don't pay it back, somebody else has to down the road.
I know a lot of people because of the business I'm in.
Of course.
I don't know anyone that wants to get further into debt. They all seem to want to get out for some
I
reason.
agree. Because nobody wants to pay interest. I mean,
So that puzzles me somewhat. We'll let that go for now. We'll maybe explore that later.
sounds good.
Okay.